Good morning. The 20th anniversary of the death of North Korea's founder, Kim Il-sung. Where is the regime 20 years after under the grandson's rule? Israeli airstrikes on Gaza kill at least 9 Palestinian militants, the highest death toll since 2012. Tensions in the region remain high after the death of a Palestinian teenager. Get a Korea Today exclusive look at a never-before-seen glassless 3D Ultra HD TV, unveiled in the studio today. A form of arthritis that affects the big toe, gout. It's a nightmare of pain. Find out more on Korea Today, Tuesday, July 8, 2014.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
And good morning. Thank you for joining us on this Tuesday morning on Korea Today. I'm Kim Young alongside Jin and Kim Jung.
Good morning, everyone. Hope you had a good night's sleep last night. It was a tough night to sleep through yesterday. Just stayed up all night, just fanning myself.
Right. It's probably because of the heat that have been accumulated during daytime. The daytime highs yesterday shot up to nearly 34 degrees Celsius.
It felt like 40 degrees. Though.
Yes, I couldn't go outside. I had to stay at home with the air conditioner on.
Right, it was quite unbearable.
It's amazing how strong the sun actually is. The humidity levels are quite low at this time of the year, but the scorching heat from the sun, that just does it all.
Quite a stark difference if you consider that Typhoon Noguri is fast approaching the Korean peninsula.
That's right, and that is our top story for this morning. The first super typhoon of the year is heading in a northeastern path and is expected to hit Okinawa, Japan today, affecting the Korean peninsula later tonight. Carrying winds of up to 50 meters per second, Typhoon Noguri is expected to stay on its course and graze the southern regions of the nation. The Korea Meteorological Administration expects Noguri to bring strong winds and rain to Jeju Island with wind gusts of up to 40 meters per second in Jeju and the Gyeongsangnam-do province and the southern coastal cities.
Strong winds and heavy downpours are expected at Jeju Island and the southern coastline on Wednesday and Thursday. High seas advisories and warnings may be issued due to strong currents and waves.
The super typhoon will also bring up to 300 millimeters of rain in Jeju and 150 millimeters in the southeastern regions. Now, weather officials say the effects of the super typhoon Noguri will hit the nation the hardest on Wednesday evening, carrying on until Thursday morning.
Senior officials from the United States and China will be meeting in Beijing for 2 days, starting on Wednesday for the 6th annual U.S.-China Strategic and Economic Dialogue. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry and Treasury Secretary Jacob Lew will sit down with Chinese State Councilor Jiang Jiechi and Vice Premier Wang Yang to discuss security issues, including North Korea's nuclear program, Asian maritime disputes, as well as measures against cyber theft. On the economic front, the two sides are likely to seek common ground on boosting bilateral investment, market access, and the value of the Chinese currency. Observers say the latest gathering comes as the two countries try to save the increasingly strained bilateral relations that has deteriorated in the past year over differences on intellectual property rights and Beijing's recent efforts to enforce maritime claims in the Asia-Pacific region.
An investigation to verify the victims of the Kanto earthquake listed in a set of long-lost records recovered last year has begun. A special committee backed by the nation's prime minister dedicated to matters of affairs involving Japan's historical wrongdoing announced on Monday that the committee is looking into the some 350 victims and visit with the listed kin and townspeople of 16 of them to gather more information. These records are believed to be the first of its kind written under the order of the then president Lee Seung-man in 1952. The 1923 Kanto earthquake devastated Tokyo and Yokohama, killing over 100,000, and in the chaos following, false rumors of revolts by Koreans mobilized for forced labor in Japan led to the massacre of over 6,000 Korean residents in the hands of vigilante groups, police, and soldiers.
Today, July 8th, marks the 20th anniversary of former North Korean leader Kim Il-sung's death, and various commemorative events are being held in the North on this day. Now, the current leader, Kim Jung-un, is increasingly imitating his grandfather, especially when it comes to appearance and fashion style. For example, Kim Jung-un has recently been wearing white shirts to inspection tours, something that Kim Il-sung preferred to wear as a young man and on North Korean documentary films. Experts say the younger Kim is trying to tighten his grip of power and gain support from the North Korean public by resembling his grandfather, who North Koreans remember as the great leader.
On Monday, a North Korean government statement was released on dispatching a cheering squad to the upcoming Asian Games in Incheon in a move to improve inter-Korean relations. The statement, according to the North, coincides with the 20th anniversary of a reunification document signed by its former leader Kim Il-sung the day before his death.
North Korea wants to be seen as taking the lead in terms of inter-Korean relations by sending the cheerleading squad to the Asian Games. Kim Il-sung wanted to be known as the figure spearheading inter-Korean relations, and Kim Jung-un is following suit by consistently making highly publicized conciliatory gestures for reconciliation.
North Korea's founding leader Kim Il-sung passed at the age of 82 on July 8, 1994. Since the death of their great leader, North Korea has designated Kim's date of death as an official national holiday, with various events taking place every year. Large-scale events are in store this year compared to the previous years, including a memorial chorus ensemble being part of the festivities.
The North likes to emphasize the back-to bloodline, a bloodline spanning 3 generations: Kim Il-sung, Kim Jong-il, Kim Jong-un. I believe that bloodline will be used in further solidifying Kim Jong-un's position during the 20th anniversary of Kim Il-sung's death. So we may see a political twist added to the memorial events.
North Korea may appear to be busy organizing events to mark Kim Il-sung's death anniversary, but media reports are urging more public support for their current leader, Kim Jung-un.
As a supreme commander, Kim Jong-un's intention is to strengthen his regime by improving internal unity and building external deterrence with his military power. That is the foundation he has passed on from Kim Il-sung's time.
In a special proposal last month, the North suggested South Korea halt military hostilities starting July 4th, which falls under the communist state's national mourning period.
나라의 평화 보장에 대한 남선 당국의 진솔한 입장을 밝힐 것을 다시금 제안한다.
Yet, contrary to the North's earlier proposal, Kim Jong-un observed a large-scale military exercise off its eastern coast on July 4th. North Korea continues to give mixed signals of friendly gestures and hostile action, which could be interpreted as the communist state's ambivalent strategy.
During Kim Il-sung's reign, many socialist countries existed, which is why there was a void in military tension with other nations. Now, after socialist states have collapsed, Kim Jong-un is faced with coping on his own, leading to a much faster response to external tensions.
The festivities continue to commemorate Kim Il-sung's death, but military drills are also in full swing under Kim Jong-un's command. It remains to be seen what North Korea will choose as their next step.
And for more on the current Kim Jong-un regime and its policies, we're now joined by Mr. Yang Wook, Senior Research Fellow at Korea Defense and Security Forum. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, well, good morning and thanks for inviting me.
So, Kim Jong-un came to power in 2012, and looking back, what are some of the similarities and differences in his policies and governing style when compared to his grandfather, Kim Il-sung?
Yeah, well, actually, we have to compare with his grandfather and his father. So, well, actually, the Kim Jong-un is following his grandfather's footsteps, not his father's. Well, let's say the Kim Il-sung, well, his grandfather has a a generosity gesture toward his people, and the Kim Jong-un is really following his footsteps. But I mean, with the political cleverness of his father, so well, he's using that kind of image to make him look like Kim Il-sung 60 or 70 years ago.
Right. Yeah. And North Korea is increasingly sending mixed signals in recent months, showing a conciliatory gesture and then suddenly taking a provocative turn suddenly. And why is that? What is behind this change of behavior?
Well, actually, you have to see North Korea as not as a normal country. Well, actually, it's an absolute monarchy, or let's say the culturalism. So the thing is that they are not even communist country anymore. In their constitution, they replaced the communism with the Juche ideal. The Juche ideal means that the back to blood, the direct descendant of the Kim Il-sung will be governing the North Korea. So it's all about the surviving as a monarchy.
So in the future, do you expect more provocative acts or more conciliatory gestures to come?
Well, actually, they always have been used both kind of things. So in the face, they'll say peace. But I mean, they will hit you in the back. So that's they'll continue.
Right, that has been their strategy in the past.
Yeah.
And with strengthening Korea-China ties and with Beijing seemingly distancing itself from North Korea, what do you think will be North Korea's next step in this relations?
Well, actually, the Kim Jong-un wants to meet Xi Jinping desperately after his succession of power. Back in 2012, and then, actually, the step North Korea will follow will find another guardian angel country. So, definitely they will talk with Japan right now, and I mean, the most favorable country will be Russia. Russia has kind of they are adopting the new look east policy, and they will find the non-freezing port for their navy. Or, I mean, they have a lot of interest in the Russian Far East area. So Russia will be definitely their option.
So Russia and Japan will be their option for the next guardian angel for them.
Right.
Okay, so we'll have to wait and see whether their conciliatory gesture for the Incheon Asian Games will turn out to be, as they claim, a chance to improve inter-Korean ties.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Yang, for your time today.
Yeah, well, thank you so much.
Good morning. It's time to run through the front pages of your newspapers. And yesterday, I talked about a story on Joseonilbo regarding an in-depth interview done on 100 North Koreans living in China and how most of them desire reunification of the divided Koreas. Now, there's another article on the same daily this morning about how these interviewees responded to the question, how much of the North Koreans living in the reclusive country run businesses for a living? So let's take a look and find out on Joseonilbo's top story. And the title says, North Korea's distribution nominal, living off of businesses. So as I mentioned yesterday in this interview done by the Daily together with the Center for Cultural Unification Studies, 70 of those 100 interviewees, they said that they have had experience doing some kind of business when living in the North. In fact, when they were asked about how much of the North Koreans living in their homeland that they believe live off of doing or running a business, almost 40 respondents said that they think more than 90% of them do so. Now, for instance, this is a picture of a cab service business that has appeared in Pyongyang called the Daedonggang Call Taxi, which is even equipped with a credit card reader. Now, the interviewees went on to say that the country's distribution system has collapsed in most parts of North Korea except for Pyongyang, and that is why most residents have to make a living off of being involved in some kind of private business. And moving on to our next story, we'll take a look at this side one here on 동아일보. And this is on some words coming from the Chinese president, yet again criticizing Tokyo. It's titled, Xi Jinping blasts Japan for the denial of history. Now, as the subheadlines here say, the Chinese leader was delivering a speech yesterday during a ceremony marking the 77th anniversary of the start of the Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese invasion in Beijing. Now, with that, he became the first Chinese president to attend an official ceremony commemorating the start of the Sino-Japanese War. Now, he condemned denials of Japanese aggression in China, saying that no one can change history or the truth, and that the Chinese people will not allow such denial of wartime atrocities. Now, let's go on over to our economic dailies. First up on the Mail Business newspaper. And this is about the Economic Development Cooperation Fund, or the EDCF. The headline says, aiding developing countries, planting seeds of the economic Korean wave. Now, as a sub-headline here above the main title says, the EDCF exceeded 10 trillion won, or almost $10 billion in May this year for the first time in 28 years since its foundation in 1987. Now, you can also see in this graph inserted inside, that the amount of aid via EDCF has been on a steady rise to exceed the $10 billion mark recently. Now, Namkwang Engineering and Construction, which was the first builder to be named for the EDCF project back in 2009, clinched yet another project just recently, along with GS Engineering and Construction. Now, the EDCF supports 314 projects in 51 nations around the world, assisting developing nations' efforts in infrastructure construction. And wrapping up with a quick look at the Korea Economic Daily for this story towards the bottom there. And this article is on what the president has said at a debate hosted by business leaders to review the economic accomplishments attained during her recent visit to 3 Central Asian nations. The header reads, President Park vows to step up collaborative economic diplomacy. Here in this image, you can see her with the other leaders at the Korea Chamber of Commerce and Industry yesterday. Now, she stressed that she would spare no effort to bolster achievement in the country's economic diplomacy with other nations, adding that she would consider visiting any place where Korean companies wish to expand or enter its market into. And that was a look at your newspaper headlines for this Tuesday. Now, coming up are the stock numbers from Monday.
You know, Min Jung, we started off talking about the sleepless nights that you've been having.
That's right.
Now, one way to solve
Not
that
just
issue.
me, but the entire
nation,
the
right? A lot of people
right.
there. One way to solve that situation is using the air conditioner, but putting it on the dehumidifying mode.
Well, thank you
There
for
you
the
go.
tip.
You
there.
saved some money there with that. There's a tip for you.
But a lot of people are curious about the path of this super
That's
typhoon
right, that's
Noguri
right.
that is fast on track. So we'll turn to Chun Sung-cho for more on this and also the weather conditions for today. She is joining us from...
Good morning, guys. I'm reporting live by the Yangjaechun Stream. Yes, like you guys said, Super Typhoon Noguri is currently on track to southwest Japan, and its outer bands are already battering the island of Okinawa. Tonight, it'll start affecting the Korean peninsula as well, and tomorrow, it'll be at its strongest. The southern regions, especially beginning with Jeju, will receive heavy rain up to 20 millimeters per hour with strong winds up to 40 meters per second. This will generate rough surf, and coastal flooding is also a possibility. The impact of Noguri on Korea, it really depends on its track and intensity, which can change over time. So people should definitely watch out for further weather updates and be prepared. Now let's move on over to get a closer look at today's forecast. We have overcast skies nationwide, expecting some scattered showers this morning in the southern regions, which will spread nationwide in the afternoon in the form of drizzles. But it's not enough to bring down the midday highs across the country. Gwangju is the hottest at 31, Seoul at 29, and Gangneung remains the coolest at 26 degrees Celsius. This is all for me with the weather update. Back to you, Min Jung.
The heat only seems to be rising on the Gaza Strip following the deaths of Israeli and Palestinian teenagers. We'll get an update on this story and other global headlines with our Eunice Kim, who's standing by at the news center. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Min Jung.
Now, Palestinians and Israelis are exchanging fire, and this is leading to a high death toll. Tell us more about this.
Indeed, the two historically contentious neighbors had been trying to work out their differences, but now it is looking like anything but. Palestinian militants are now threatening revenge as it claims Israeli airstrikes killed at least 9 of their comrades, marking the highest death toll since a cross-border war back in 2012. Hamas said 7 of its fighters were killed when a tunnel collapsed following a strike and 2 others in a separate drone attack. Israel's military had carried out strikes against 15 Hamas targets since Sunday, and on Monday it drew up a reserve 1,500 men strong for the first time since 2012, citing military preparedness. Hamas, for its part, shelled Israel with some 40 rockets and mortar fire. Meanwhile, in an update to the investigations on the Palestinian teens' kidnap and murder, Israeli police say 3 of the 6 Israeli suspects arrested have confessed to their crimes. A powerful earthquake has rocked much of southern Mexico and Central America at large, triggering mudslides and damaging communication infrastructure and buildings. The magnitude 7.1 temblor was centered northeast of Puerto Madero near the Guatemala border, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. Dozens of homes were evacuated and affected residents taken to hospitals. At least 4 people were killed in the quake, including 2 people in their collapsing home in San Marcos and a newborn baby hit by a piece of false ceiling in a San Marcos hospital.
And lastly, a major story. The Pope has met with a small group of grown victims from the church's decades-long sexual abuse scandal, and he's begged for forgiveness.
That's right, Min Jung. It was a meeting a long time in the waiting, and it came 16 months into his pontificate, drawing criticism that it hadn't happened earlier. Pope Francis met with 6 victims in total, 2 each from Ireland, Britain, and Germany, individually for about 30 minutes each after delivering his private homily. Now, in that private morning mass, the pontiff said he felt in his heart deep pain and suffering for the, quote, sacrilegious cult, noting there to the sex abuse scandal, and noted the cover-up was as bad as the crime. Begging for forgiveness for the church's wrongdoing, he promised to hold accountable those who failed to protect the children. Critics, though, say they will be watching for follow-up action that proves the meeting was not simply a ceremonial event. And that's a wrap of the global headlines we're following this morning.
And still to come, in just several years, being able to watch things in 3D has lost its novelty, especially thanks to those clunky, uncomfortable 3D glasses. But what if you could go 3D glasses free? ID Plus brings you another world's first, so stay with us.
Korean musicals have grown in popularity and success both in the nation as well as abroad, with content being distributed in areas of China as well. But the success and the evolution of Korean musicals didn't really occur until Broadway musicals really set the tone. And our Lee Myun-hee joins us with Broadway musicals that are going to open up. Good morning.
Right, good morning.
All right, so tell us a little bit about these musicals.
Right, so the Korean musical industry really got a huge kickstart because of the interest generated by the production of Broadway musicals here in Korea. And now the Korean audience has shown a positive response when it comes to Broadway musicals, both that succeeded in Broadway, but also, interestingly, they also showed a response to Broadways that were not as successful. And so the Korean audience shows that the key lies in this dramatic factor when it comes to musicals. Take a look at a few musicals that don't come short when it comes to that factor.
Based on Charles Dickens' novel, A Tale of Two Cities made its award-winning run in Broadway, and shortly after appeared in Seoul, selling out shows and sweeping up to 9 different awards, including Best Foreign Musical. Set during the turbulent times of the French Revolution, the musical has death and deception, but love still prevails.
It's nice for the audience to hear a story about love up here in the beautiful Namsan Mountains, where love is in the air.
Separated at birth, it's a story of twin brothers who show nature versus nurture. They reunite, now coming from 2 completely different worlds, and after falling in love with the same girl, their lives take a turn for the worse. Even though it's a tragedy, there's still a sliver of hope through it all. It's a performance that's shown over 10,000 times all over the world, and now it's available in Seoul.
Now, these are musicals that are original Broadway musicals, but they've come over not with the original cast, but Korean cast. So we've talked about K-pop stars making their way into musicals and really bringing life to the musical when it comes to the term of bringing in audiences. Does that apply here as well?
Right, so these musicals, Korean musicals are not shy when it comes to bringing in the popularity that comes with K-pop stars, but they also have been using actors as well. And so Oh Jung-hyuk and Song Chang-yi, he's been showing, these are 2 actors here in Korea that have shown that they are multi-talented, so they can be both on the screen and on the musical stage as well. And that's been a trend that we're seeing that really does help boost the Korean musical industry. And so they're demonstrating success on both stages.
Okay, so A Tale of Two Cities, you mentioned in the report that it's also a multiple award winner.
Right. So for the past 3 years, it's shown huge success, immense success here in Korea. It's been shown every year, as a lot of musicals have shown. Broadway musicals, and Blood Brothers actually is another musical that is produced by Glenn Walford, and he is one of the top producers of West End. So they have a lot of expectations with that musical as well.
And that whole synergy effect, as we mentioned, with the Korean pop stars, former stars like Oh Jung-hyuk, former Click B member, I believe, right? Him coming back into the scene and as a musical star, that does really have that synergy effect, right? This is going to continue. This is something that we should get used to, right?
Right, so it's a transitional period for this Korean musical time right now, and so we'll have to wait and see what happens.
All right, thank you for joining us today.
Always a pleasure.
All right, stay with us because still ahead on Korea Today, we are going to be talking about gout. Now, it's a form of arthritis that usually affects the big toe, and it can affect both men and women, usually men. Apparently, the summer season increases flare-ups, and it's creeping up on women too, as I mentioned, so stick around to learn more about gout on Health Check.
Major beaches have started opening up across the nation. Haven't had a chance to check one out, but apparently there had been a number of accidents where people were taken under by unruly waves and strong currents, especially along the East Coast.
Right, so if you're planning to head out to one of the beaches this summer, you should check the safety tips first. Our Seo Mi-sorang joins us from the digital room to tell us how to stay safe and still have fun. Good morning, Mi-sorang.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys. So there are 3 things to remember. Check the weather conditions, wear a life vest, and don't fight the waves. Before I expand on each point, let's quickly run through some of the other issues that are trending online. The music video for Koinonia, the song dedicated to the papal visit next month, is released online. Amidst continuing tax revenue shortfalls, the Finance Ministry is planning to reduce the income tax deduction rate for credit card spending. The numerous parody remakes of Psy's Hangover are making everyone laugh, including the latest drinking yogurt version with model Jung Ha-eun, who also featured in the original music video. And the first round of tickets go on sale to see Team Park Ji-sung and Team K-League face off at the K-League All-Star Game. Now going back to the first listing there, a day hanging out at the beach is the perfect way to kick back and relax. But its unruly waves and fast currents can be life-threatening if you're not careful. So here are 3 things to remember to stay safe. First, check the weather conditions before you go. Is it safe to enter the waters? Smaller beaches without its own management staff will be open rain or shine, so you'll have to do your own research and make a judgment call. Second, wear a life vest if you aren't confident in your swimming skills. Inflatable tubes and beach toys can help, but it is all too easy to lose grip of them when you are distressed. Lastly, if you do get caught in a wave or a current, don't fight it. It is extremely difficult to swim yourself out of a strong wave or against a strong current, so simply move along the current's natural path until help arrives. Moving on to our next issue, we showed you around 2 weeks ago that some 35 celebrities and athletes gathered to sing and record a special song dedicated to the Pope's visit this coming August. Well, the music video is finally out, so let's check it out and see what the lyrics are about. The music video is simply a collage of footages of the recording day, the stars gathering and greeting each other, practicing and singing the song. Some familiar faces we can see are actress Kim Tae-hee, actor Kim Woo-bin, and singer Pada. Much like its title Koinonia, Greek for fellowship, the lyrics are about sharing and unity in that fellowship with one another. A repeated line in the chorus means the entire world united in your breath, all hearts being aligned in your path. Let's have a listen. The song and music video will be played at various events throughout the Pope's journey, including the beatification ceremony to be held at Gwanghwamun Plaza. And that's a wrap-up for today's edition of your Daily News Sum Up.
Well, if you like watching movies as much as me, then I'm sure you'll be very excited about this news. 3D without the glasses. And Travis Klein joins us with more on this. Good morning, Travis. How are you?
Good morning. Doing well. Good to see you. So it's going to be a world first, a 3D television that you can use without glasses. It's going to hit the market very soon. And we're going to take a first glimpse today on the show at this revolutionary technology. And at the same time, check out the features. What are the features? Well, on this next report, we're going to find out.
As we head into an era where 3D images are more readily available, watching content in 3D at home is becoming more popular. But wearing special glasses can sometimes make you dizzy, and there are other related inconveniences.
Oh, makes me so dizzy. I wish there was a way that you could watch things in 3D without the glasses.
In order to resolve some of these problems, Sky Media, a company in Korea, has come up with a new way to enjoy 3D images more conveniently. It's a technology that projects images in 3D without having to wear glasses.
The can looks like it's going to pop off right off the screen. I could reach up and just grab it. This is glasses-free 3D TV.
Before, in order to watch 3D TV, people needed to wear glasses, but because it was uncomfortable, we created a glasses-free 3D TV that uses a display system with ultra-fine lenses to get rid of those inconveniences.
Existing 3D TVs either use the active shutter glasses, where there's blinking left and right, or the passive polarized glasses that read the image line by line. But the glasses-free 3D TV uses ultrafine lenses on pantoscopic panels that allow differentiation between the left and right, projecting a 3D image without users having to wear glasses.
The shutter glasses use blinking to create a three-dimensional image, so it can strain the eyes. And with the polarized light glasses, the image quality is not as good. The glasses-free 3D method is the solution to all these problems.
Using this TV, people can enjoy three-dimensional images without glasses. It recomposes two different images from existing 3D content and generates a 3D video that can be watched without glasses.
Whoa, that's pretty awesome.
Another focal point of this glasses-free system is the real converting function.
cool. This TV can convert 2D images into 3D. And how does it do this? Well, it's possible by a function called real converting.
This function allows the television to measure the depth of footage from existing images and restructures them in 3D.
All the contents have been 2D until now. In order to watch these 2D images without glasses, we must separate the image. Our system does the automatic converting internally and projects this onto the display. This is real converting technology.
What's notable with this function is that it only takes 0.5 seconds to recreate the images in 3D. Also, if you connect a 2D camera with no 3D functions to the 3D TV, you can check the images in 3 dimension on the spot as you are taking the images. Another feature the 3D TV boasts is that you can connect it to a computer and experience online games at a whole new level.
As if video games weren't addicting enough, with this 3D feature, it feels you're like right in the game with the benefit of not having to wear the 3D glasses.
The first glasses-free 3D TV and how this will influence the global 3D TV market is something worth keeping an eye on.
So once again, this is the first time that this 3D technology is being unveiled to the public, Travis. Now, we do have the 2 screens over here. One is running right now in that 3D, the glasses 3D, and the other one is a normal screen.
That is true. We did this on purpose so you could compare and contrast. Now, right here, we have a regular television. Over here, we have the 3D television, the glasses-less television. Now, you notice right away the depth and the images. They look so real. I feel like I could swing on the vines like Tarzan myself as well. And one thing interesting about this is it does have a feature, depending on the person. When you watch this, you can actually adjust to maximize or minimize the depth, depending on how you want to see it.
Okay, so the level of 3D, right? For example, if you are wearing glasses, sometimes if a long movie, for example, Transformers 4, that was a 3-hour movie, all in 3D, it was kind of a pain to my eyes. But so you can, this is glassless number 1, so you don't have to deal with that factor, but you also can control the depth on it.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm not sure if our cameras can actually catch this, because you do need 2 eyes to watch something in 3D, but you can see there is a little bit of a rendering that is going on the left. I'm sure you'll be able to see that, and it is running. I can guarantee that over here in the studio, it is in complete 3D.
Right. Even from the side, from our angle, you can definitely see the 3D effect and the depth of it.
Exactly. So which means from all angles, you can get the 3D enhancements.
Right.
Okay. And it's actually not just a feature that you have for maybe television signals or movies, but if you connect any type of video to the 3D television, it'll convert it to 3D right away. Okay, so we're talking if you stick in your computer, if you have computer games, if you have video games, even like your smartphone, maybe functions and features and applications, it'll work.
So right now what is running on here right now is the same exact image on 2 different TVs. So this is actually a 2D image being rendered into 3D.
Exactly.
All right, so we have this out right now in the studio, but when will consumers be able to grab this item?
Well, at the moment, it's about 90% on its development completion. It's going to be featured very soon in September 2014 in the IFA in Berlin, which is the largest consumer electronics trade show in Europe, and then it's going to go on to global markets, and then their goal is to have it maybe released that same month in September here in Korea.
Okay, and this is a small and medium-sized business that's actually in charge of this, an enterprise that's making this, right? Instead of a big conglomerate, right?
Exactly, so the potential is limitless.
All right, sounds good. Travis, thank you very much for joining us with this awesome technology. I just really want to take this home right now.
I think I'm going to take it home if I beat you to it.
All right, thank you, Travis.
And a good Tuesday morning to you all as we kick things off with some Winter Paralympics news as Pyeongchang is set to host a number of Winter Paralympics competitions and preparations for the 2018 Winter Paralympics. Now, according to the organizing committee for the 2018 Winter Paralympics, Pyeongchang will host up to 2 international competitions per year for each of the Winter Paralympic sports. Now, this is, of course, sanctioned by the International Paralympics Committee for 3 years from 2014 to 2017. Meanwhile, these sports include alpine skiing, para-snowboarding, ice sledge hockey, biathlon, cross-country skiing, and wheelchair curling. And now moving over to the Brazil World Cup, where the 32 managers for the 32 World Cup nations were ranked in a weekly sports magazine. And for manager Hong Myung-bo, well, he's way down there. According to Germany's Sports Bild magazine, manager Hong Myung-bo was listed at number 26 out of the 32 managers in the World Cup. Now, according to the article, Korea was drawn with Belgium, Algeria, and Russia, a group they believe to be relatively easy, but still managed to drop out of the group stages without a single win. Meanwhile, Costa Rica's Jorge Luis Pinto was ranked number 1 in the list. And now moving over to the KBO, where 4 teams try to make up the rained-down games from Sunday as the NC Dinos beat the LG Twins in a close game 4-1. So let's now take a look at the SK Wyverns take on the Lotte Giants. Of course, going to the game here, 3rd inning of the game, Choi Jun-seok, an RBI single to left gives the Lotte Giants the 1-0 lead. But 4th inning, Kim Sang-hyun RBI triple to center, and we're tied 1-1 before Park Jung-won's RBI single to center makes it 2-1. But we're not done yet. Kim Gang-min this time a 2-run single to left, and SK has the lead 4-1. And we go over to the 5th inning. Choi Jun-seok once again, this time a 2-run single to left, and deficit is cut 4-3. But 6th inning, here come the SK Wyverns again. Na Ju-hwan, 2-run single to center, sparking a 5-run 6th inning as the SK Wyverns hold on to win this one 10-3, your final score. And now finishing things off, but staying in the KBO with the All-Star Game in Gwangju coming up next week. The All-Star voting results are out with some rather interesting results. And unlike the previous All-Star Games, no one team gets the most votes in the starting 11, as the result sees quite a parity, with 11 starters being chosen via majority votes per position. Nexon's Kang Jung-ho and NC's Na Sung-bum were neck and neck for the most overall votes, but the second-year slugger Na Sung-bum ends up with the most votes, despite Kang Jung-ho getting one more vote amongst the player voting. And that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day, and see you guys again for your sports needs.
After a long day at work, a lot of people head out to enjoy a drink or two over dinner, and especially in the summer, beer is one of people's favorites. But frequent consumption of beer and meat can cause a condition called gout that brings severe pain. Over the past 5 years, the number of gout patients has jumped by 45%. And the number of men is 10 times that of women. Gout can come with other illnesses such as high blood pressure, hyperlipidemia, and diabetes, which is why more precaution is required. Gout is said to come with excruciating pain, similar to that of giving birth to a child. We look at the causes and treatment options for gout.
Now, gout was once known as a rich man's disease, with figures like King Henry VIII, Napoleon, and Louis XIV falling victim to it. But the condition is now becoming quite common among the average middle-aged men. To tell us more, joining us this morning are Dr. Alice Hyung-kyung from Samsung Medical Center and Dr. Nam Dong-hoo from Kyung University Korean Medicine Hospital. Welcome to the program.
Good morning. Good morning to both of you. Now, gout sounds unfamiliar, to be honest, and it's something that is rather foreign to some of our viewers, I'm sure, too. But it's definitely something you don't want on your feet or any else.
After watching that video,
right, exactly.
I don't want it.
Especially, yeah, that's right. And what exactly is gout, and what causes it?
So gout is an inflammatory disease of the joints caused by deposition of monosodium urate crystals. Monosodium urate crystals is derived from uric acid, which is a natural waste product formed in the body. If uric acid increases above a certain threshold, you can develop the formation of crystals, much in the same way as you can get crystals of salt formed on a string that's placed in a supersaturated solution of salt and water. These crystals are needle-shaped and very sharp, and when they accumulate in the joints, they attract white blood cells, and that can lead to inflammation, severe pain, redness, warmth, and just a really hot, inflamed joint like we saw in the video. The first and most common place where gout will appear is usually the big toe, and so it's also known as podagra, which actually means literally foot trap, because the foot is so painful the patient cannot walk. It's as if their foot has been grabbed by this condition. But gout can affect the other joints as well in the extremities, such as the ankles, the elbows, and the hands. And gout can also affect the kidneys and lead to kidney stones.
Okay, so how is this looked upon in Korean medicine?
Well, gout is called tongpung in Korean medicine, and this means that only the slight breeze of wind can cause severe pain. And the high level of uric acid is caused due to the deficiency of the spleen or the kidney. Well, if the spleen supervises the circulation to the four limbs, so if the spleen gets weak, the circulation slows down in the four limbs, making substances such as uric acid to stack up more easily. And if the kidney gets weak, it won't be able to filter out the uric acid. So you will have to keep your kidney and spleen in shape.
Okay, so keeping your kidney and spleen in shape is important, but it seems that there's a correlation between the weather or the season and gout. Now, summer and gout, why is there this connection?
Well, gout can occur at any time of the year, but the risk factors particular to the summer months would be the 2 Ds, dehydration and diet. You can imagine the following scenario. A 50-year-old man decides to go hiking with his friends. He's worked up a big sweat. They come down from the mountain, decide to go for Korean beef and leaf for dinner. They wash down their meal with copious amounts of beer, and the ajumma throws on some mushrooms onto the grill. That scenario is a perfect recipe for gout. So you have beef or meat, which is high in purine, also beer and mushrooms. Purine then is broken down into uric acid, and that elevated uric acid can cause an acute gouty flare. So that's probably why we get gout more often in the summer months.
Well, what you just mentioned sounds like a perfect recipe for us, right?
Right, for a night or for a day out, right? But it can be dangerous if you're suffering from gout.
Yes. And Dr. No?
Oh, in the summer, we sweat more, so our body fluid gets more condensed. So the circulation of the body fluids slow down, making the waste substances to stack up. And when the weather gets hot, it's really hard to resist the temptation of drinking ice-cold beer.
Right.
But the beer contains 6 times more purine compared to wine. And also we drink more beverages, and the sugar in the beverages have a bad influence on gout.
So why is gout more common among men, especially middle-aged men?
You know, we're not exactly sure. We do know, as you're saying, that the prevalence of gout in men is much higher than in women. But for women who reach menopause, the prevalence does increase. And women who take hormonal therapy after menopause, the prevalence seems to go down a little bit. So there does seem to be a hormonal component, but the exact reason why men get gout more often than women actually remains to be determined.
All right, so apparently this is a very painful condition, and as you mentioned, it's tongpung in Korean, which means even if the wind just grazes it, it's painful. Well, and yeah, we'll look at some of the treatment options that are available and come back and talk more with our 2 doctors.
Kim Jung-un experienced excruciating sharp pain in his toes last night and is at the hospital seeking medical help, worried that it might be a severe condition.
It's very swollen, and it really hurts even when I touch it lightly. It's so painful that I can't even walk.
When a patient is suspected of having gout, a blood or joint fluid test is conducted. If acid crystals are discovered, the patient is diagnosed with gout.
There are two main types of medication. One is to break down the uric acid, and the other is to increase the discharge amount of uric acid. It's important to continually take these kind of medications to lower the acid levels.
In Korean medicine, different treatments are used depending on symptoms the patients are experiencing.
We use acupuncture in the area where there is pain, and also use moxibustion to strengthen the excretory function. We also administer herbal medicine to boost kidney function.
For treatment, doctors use acupuncture on pressure points around the areas that are in pain. Gout is also seen as an infection or extravasated blood in Korean medicine, which is why a small amount of blood is left to flow out after a small puncture is made in the skin or a small vessel, using an acupuncture needle to relieve the pain.
That looks painful.
Painful, but it looks refreshing for some reason.
Okay. I don't know. But is gout something that's curable completely, or is this incurable?
Yes, it is a very difficult disease, but the cure is possible. We have herbs that can clean up the blood, and also bee venom acupuncture has been reported to be effective.
Right.
Well, Dr. Tan, tell us how we cure this, or how if it's completely curable or not.
Yeah, so I agree, absolutely. You can cure gout. The key is to keep the uric acid levels very low. In the initial stages, anti-inflammatory medications will be used in addition to medicines to lower uric acid levels. For some people, gout is a chronic condition, and so management involves maintaining a normal weight, avoiding the triggers, and then using gout medications. In some cases, there are medications that can act as a trigger for gout. So some blood pressure medications used to control the immune system after transplantation. So in these situations, substituting these culprit medications would be the cure for gout in these patients.
Okay, so once you get it, you can always get it again. Is that the case?
If you have an elevated amount of uric acid level above that threshold that I mentioned, you can get another attack, yes.
Then, apart from medication, what are some of the daily tips we can use to treat gout?
Probably the most important way of preventing gout is through your diet, making sure that you have a low purine diet. And there are certain foods that you should learn to avoid, foods that are high in purine, such as meats, beverages such as alcoholic beverages such as beer, and those sweetened with high fructose corn syrup. Those are the foods that you should avoid. And then there are foods that are actually helpful for treating gout, such as low-fat milk and berries, fruits that have a very dark-colored skin, purple
and
grapes.
We have some food standing by ready for us, and you can explain to us if we can bring it in and explain to us how
breakfast is served, Doctor.
Very good. Perfect.
Okay, so we have a Korean-style meal over here on the right,
and a Western-style meal.
Yeah,
here.
so here's an example, a perfect example of a gout-friendly meal. One of the trickiest parts of eating with gout is finding the right sources of protein. And here, the white fish, it smells really good. The white fish is a great source. Other good alternatives would be tofu, egg whites, and low-fat cheese. Fruits and vegetables are always good to eat. The ones to avoid are asparagus and mushrooms, but the soybean sprouts here are a moderate source of protein, purine, so it's actually okay to eat. Choosing what beverage you want to drink is also important. So over there we have the low-fat milk. That's actually been shown to decrease uric acid levels, and so low-fat milk or water are the best alternatives. You really want to avoid beer and alcohol and soda.
This Western-style breakfast is also okay, you're saying?
Exactly. So the salad is a perfect choice. The bread is actually okay. For people with gout, as a matter of fact, white rice is probably a better alternative to brown rice. And
really?
Yeah, rather than whole grains, like refined grains are thought to be a better choice.
We always thought that whole grains were more healthy for us.
Right,
What about Dr. Nam?
Well, I agree that watching your diet, controlling your diet will be your main priority. And then we should exercise regularly to enhance our immunity and circulation. And also we have tea made of buckwheat or barley or maybe corn silk. They will help prevent and cure gout.
So 보리차 would
Yes.
be a good idea.
All right, well, sounds great. Looks like we have a breakfast on the table for us after the program. But, thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, that just about does it for this edition of Korea Today.
And enjoy your day. We do have a typhoon that's going to affect the peninsula starting later tonight, so be aware of that. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning.
Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.